Hello and welcome back to the next video. In this video we will cover ground movement in the C-172 and the different airport symbols that you'll come across on your journeys, whether they are painted on the ground, on a sign, or in the form of hand movements given to you by airfield personnel. Let's split the video into two parts. Let's first cover signs and markings, then we'll cover ground movement. Signs and markings. One of the most important markings on an airfield you will ever come across is the hold line. It's a good place to start, as it's probably the one biggest rule that you shouldn't ever break on an airfield. Let's look at an example. We are sitting on the taxiway and holding at Bravo for takeoff on runway 22 at Welshpool. This specific hold line is called Bravo, and we can see that on the sign on the right. The line is marked across the taxiway in front of us. When the tower asks us to taxi and hold Bravo, he means we should stop here behind the line and wait for further instruction. A hold line looks different sometimes for different reasons. There are generally two different types, an ILS hold line and a normal runway hold line. A runway hold line is the holy grail of airport markings. Learn this one and don't forget it. It usually will have two solid lines and two checkered lines. The solid line is the side where you stop and don't cross until absolutely told to. Hundreds of runway incursions a year happen when pilots get confused and cross over this line before ATC tells them to. If you are approaching the line from the checkered side, then you are fine to cross without being told to by ATC, since you are coming from the runway off onto a taxiway. It's in your interest and the interest of ATC to clear the runway as quickly as possible for the next aircraft that's landing or taking off. Sometimes these lines will come close together if there are parallel runways and you are in between them, so pay attention to which line is yours. The ILS hold line is exactly the same as the instrument hold line, but you generally only hold at this line when the ILS system at this airport is in use, and ATC don't want your aircraft to interfere with the signal. If they tell you to hold at the ILS hold line, that's the place you stop. You might not see a specific ILS hold line very often. They're generally only at airfields where the taxiway comes into direct conflict with the ILS beams. Now let's have a look at taxiway signs. These yellow boards with letters on them are going to be your constant companion throughout your simming days. When taxiing around an airport, these boards will let you know what taxiway you are currently on. As you move forward, the boards will also show you the approaching taxiways that intersect with your own. When using this system, you can navigate correctly around an airfield based off of the ATC instructions. So, if a controller tells you to taxi via Alpha Bravo Charlie, hold short of Victor 3 for runway 31, you can see on the ground chart how that is achieved. Moving around safely on the ground is very important. Your aircraft has wings, tail, and engines that are all potential hazards for other aircraft in the area, as well as to apron vehicles like baggage carts and motorized stairs. When preparing to move, always have a look out of the cockpit windows to get the best view of your surrounding area. Once you see the area is clear, advance the throttle to get the aircraft moving. Remember though that the aircraft has inertia, so once you are at taxiing speed, you will not need as much power as you needed when accelerating. When turning your aircraft, keep in mind that your nose wheel is being mechanically twisted using springs that are connected to your rudder pedals. This, along with your propeller slipstream, are the main turning forces of your aircraft. With small aircraft like the C-172, always make sure that when you come to park your aircraft, you always make sure your nose wheel is pointing forwards, not at an angle. Brake or steering failures while on the ground are extremely rare, but if you are ever in a situation where your brakes have failed, remember that in the C-172, a degree of control always comes from the airflow over your rudder, as mentioned in a previous video on control surfaces. This will give you turning control, but be especially careful when gaining speed as you cannot stop quickly. Thank you very much for watching the video, and in the next video we're going to be addressing runway markings and signs.